Good morning, 60 Gang. This is your boy Doug. It is September 5th, 2024. I'd first like to say happy heavenly birthday to my grandma, Letheria Monroe. May she forever rest in peace. Miss Monroe would have been 104 today. Happy birthday, Grandma. Happy birthday to those born today, September 5th. Good morning to those who woke up today, and condolences to those who did not. This is your boy Doug. I'm up early in the morning. Headed to downtown Atlanta. Just signed a contract with this rental company, and they have decided to go with me today, so we are going to pay them a visit this morning. I'll be doing condominiums and rental property downtown Atlanta, in the heart of downtown Atlanta. Yeah. So I'm headed down there right now. If you don't head downtown Atlanta, you need to be. You're going to be in traffic. And I mean traffic. Yes, sir. So, let's take a ride.
Think about this. In just 13 days, early voting will officially get underway across the Keystone State. In a few days, just mail-in ballots will go out in other states. And we are only 61 days from what I believe is an inflection point for the country. That's less than 2 months away. And that's the 2024 election. The race, according to polls, is close in 7 states. The latest Trafalgar poll has Donald Trump up by 2 in this state of Pennsylvania. This state could very well decide the entire race. Nationwide, the Real Clear Politics average shows statistically it is close, a tie in these states. Meanwhile, left-leaning statistician Nate Silver is giving President Trump a 58% chance of winning the Electoral College. Trump is now trending up in Nate Silver's model and multiple polls after Kamala's long-lived honeymoon phase now finally appears to be over. Our one and only interview was a whopping 16 minutes and 30 seconds of talk time. I've done a lot of interviews with Donald Trump. I promise you, not one has gone under an hour. She has yet to hold a single formal press conference in 45 days after her coronation. She won't even take unscripted questions from voters at a town hall. Later on, we will be taking questions from this audience. She apparently pretended to be on a phone call to avoid reporters on the tarmac. That was yesterday. The truth is she doesn't have a good answer for her radical beliefs or sudden flipping and flopping and flailing or her horrible record in the Biden-Harris administration. She keeps saying, well, I'm going to deal with inflation on day one. I'm going to deal with the border on day one. Day one was January 20th, 2021. So Kamala and her far-left emotional support, Governor Tim Walz, are now hiding in plain sight behind their teleprompter, short scripted events. Democrats are hoping that Kamala can win on vibes, phony proclamations of joy, and even phonier proclamations of freedom. But in reality, the vibes haven't been the same since Donald Trump left office. Let's look at the facts. Under the former president, Americans had more money, less debt. Housing was more affordable. Food, clothing, insurance, gas, everything was more affordable. Interest rates were at record lows. The world was a more peaceful place. The border of our country was secure. Americans were more safe and secure in their towns and cities. So what happened to this country in the last 4 years under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? And I asked this audience in Harrisburg, are you better off than you were 4 years ago today? Here to answer that question and many more, let's give a warm Harrisburg, Pennsylvania welcome to the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Grab a seat.
Okay.
Get comfortable.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. David. Nice crowd.
I would say
It's a big crowd.
You know, I mentioned we had this terrible shooting in Georgia.
Right.
Our prayers are with our friends in Georgia. And I've been doing town halls and interviews in public with you for all these years since you got into the political arena. And I told this audience, never before have restrictions been so tight, obviously after the assassination attempt as well. And Director Wray said the threat level has never been this bad. He said it 5 consecutive times before Congress. What is going on?
Well, it's a sick and angry world for a lot of reasons. And we're going to make it better. We're going to heal our world. We're going to get rid of all these wars that are starting all over the place because of incompetent American leadership. And we're going to make it better. You know, Viktor Orban made a statement. They said, bring Trump back and we won't have any problems. He was very strong about that. So we're going to hopefully do very well. We have an election coming up, and actually, you know, they keep saying 60, but it starts in Delaware and North Carolina and other places a lot sooner than that. So we're going to be, I think we're going to be very well set up to do a great job. And do we love Pennsylvania? Do we love
Let me ask you. Mr. President, let me ask you this. Between this is a very tough interview.
One thing I'll say is that we did great in 2016. We did much better in 2020. We got millions of more votes. But there has never been enthusiasm like we have now. I mean, I see it all over. And I hear the polls are very close, and we have a little lead. I just find it hard to believe because, first of all, they've been so bad. They've done such a bad job, but that's why the enthusiasm is so good, because they never had anything to compare it by. You know, I ran and I didn't have anything at all. I just was a successful businessman, and we did a good campaign. But the next time we had something special. We could talk about what we did, but we never could imagine we'd have borders where 20 million people are poured into our country. Many criminals from all over the world are coming into our country. They're coming from jails, from not just South America, from all over the world. They're coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen. They're coming from prisons. They're allowing prisoners to come out of all countries. They had almost 180 countries represented over the last number of months. 180. Most people don't know that you have that many countries. They're emptying out their prisons and jails. They're emptying out their mental institutions and insane asylums. They're emptying out the sickest people, and they're emptying all into the United States. And you said it better than anybody. More terrorists have come into the United States in the last 3 years than I think probably 50 years. There's never been anything like it. These people are so bad. They're so dangerous. What they've done to our country is they're destroying our country, and we can't let this happen. If they won, you'd have not 20 million, you have 100 million people. You won't have Social Security, you won't have Medicare, you won't have anything already. If you take a look at the numbers, they're filling up and loading up Social Security, Medicare with illegal immigrants that have come into our country, many of them from jails and many of them from very bad places. And we're not going to destroy our country, Sean.
I'm going to play Kamala Harris and the comments that she has made about the border. because I think this is important. I want to play her in her own words about this. You're right. We have people, almost 11 million plus. We don't know how many gotaways there are. We have hundreds of known terrorists that have entered the country. We don't know what countries they've come from. We're allowing people in. They've come in from Iran, Syria, Egypt, Afghanistan, China, tens and tens of thousands, Russia, Venezuela. I don't think they're coming here because they want a better life, as maybe some other people are. And we know nothing about them. We haven't vetted them. I scroll the names often on this show of people that have been murdered, people that have been raped, people victims of violent crime. And this is all happening by unvetted, harassed Biden illegal immigrants. What is your, well, I can play your tape. I'll play that maybe after your answer, but what is your reaction to you've spoken to some of the families of loved ones.
I said at the beginning, I said, when I heard they were going to have open borders, they want open borders. She wants open borders. Now she's all of a sudden saying, oh, I think we'll close the borders. She was the border czar, whether you like it or not. But even if you don't want to use that term, she was in charge of the border. It's the worst border in the history of the world, not just here. There's never been a country that allowed 21 million people to come in over a 3-year period. There's never been. And 21 million people, many of whom are from prisons, many of whom are murderers and drug dealers and child traffickers. And by the way, women traffickers. You know, women trafficking is the biggest, and they're traffickers in women. And they're coming in now, and they're putting them in our Social Security accounts, and they're putting them in our Medicare. And just one thing, if you take a look over the last week, I said this was going to happen, and it's happening. Because these people are tougher than our criminals. Our criminals are nice people by comparison. That's the only good thing. We're showing how nice our criminals are. They came from 22 people recently came from the Congo in Africa. Where do you come from? Prison. What did you do? We refuse to say. We're letting everybody in. We're letting everybody in. Take a look at Aurora in Colorado, where Venezuelans are taking over the whole town. They're taking over buildings, the whole town. And the sheriff, who can blame them? I mean, they have AK-47s. You saw it the other day. They're knocking down doors and occupying apartments of people. The people are petrified. And it's getting worse and worse. You look at New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and now you look at all over the place. You take a look at Iowa, Idaho, places that never had the problem. They're pouring in. 21 million people, that's bigger than New York. And we have to stop it. And we have to do the largest deportation in the history.
Let me play for you. And this is really a problem for the campaign, in my view. Is early voting is about to start, and I don't know how many Americans are truly familiar with her positions of decriminalizing illegal immigration and free housing, health care, education. Tim Walz wants free college education, legal driver's licenses.
I was so honored today.
And she wants a path to citizenship.
His brother endorsed me.
I saw it.
And his whole family. I saw the picture. And honestly, it was a very nice looking family. But his brother endorsed me, and the whole family endorsed me. I said, who are all the people? Let me tell you, there's something weird with that guy. He's a weird guy. JD is not weird. He's a solid rock. I happen to be a very solid rock. We're not weird. We're other things perhaps, but we're not weird. But he is a weird guy. He walks on the stage. There's something wrong with that guy. And he called me weird. And then the fake news media picks it up. That was the word of the day. Weird, weird, weird. They're all going. But we're not weird guys. We're very solid people that want our country to be great again. I mean, it's very simple.
Let's play Kamala in her own words on the issue of immigration.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
You support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health. Period. We have to have a secure border, but I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. The border is secure. Listen, I think there's no question that we've got to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way that it is being administered and the work it is doing, and we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
And now she wants to offer a path to citizenship, which by any definition would be amnesty. Your reaction?
But, well, before you even start with that, of course it's ridiculous. You can't do it. No country could sustain this. But she wants no fracking in Pennsylvania. She wants no fracking. And she said it 100 times. There will be no fracking. There will be no fracking. There will be no fracking. Then just recently she said, yes, I could approve fracking. Look, this is a woman who is dangerous. I don't think too smart, but let's see. But she loses her train of thought a lot. She goes, that's why she doesn't want to do interviews. Can you imagine her doing an interview like this or like any of them? I mean, she did an interview with Dana Bash on CNN. And, you know, I have to tell you, Dana Bash did the debate with Joe Biden with, I used to call him Fake Tapper, but I don't do that anymore. You know why? Because he was very honorable and so was she. And I thought that she would give a fair interview based on the debate because she was fair. I was surprised, to be honest with you. I didn't expect that, but she was fair. I thought I did well. I don't think he did too well. Although a friend of mine said, you shouldn't have done the interview. He's not going to make it. And you know what? He didn't make it. You know, think of this. It's very unfair in a lot of ways. I complain about it. But she ran against him in the primary. She got no votes. And she was the first to leave. 22 people or something like that. And she dropped. She was down to nothing, never even made Iowa. And he got 14 million votes, and they threw him out. They said, we want you out. And he wasn't going to win, I don't think. I mean, I don't think he was going to win, but we did a good debate. We had a good debate, and it was a fair debate. And he was down like 18 or 19 points after the debate. And I hate mosquitoes. I'm surprised I didn't think we had. We don't like those mosquitoes running around. We want nothing to do with them. And we want nothing to do with bad politicians that hate our country, too. You want to know the truth. But they went to him and they said, we want you out. You're not going to win. And it was really a coup when you think about it. And the woman who came in, the person that came in last, I mean, she came in last. She was the first one out of all those people. You had many people that did pretty well. It was actually close at the end. And then in South Carolina, and by the way, New Hampshire was so badly treated by the Democrat Party and by Joe Biden and her. I can't imagine New Hampshire voting for him. Anybody in New Hampshire, because they're watching right now, but anybody in New Hampshire that votes for Biden and Kamala, I really think, I call her a comrade, Kamala, because that's what her ideology is. But you know that she did something after decades and decades and decades. It was Iowa, the first two, Iowa, New Hampshire. And that's the way people thought it was going to be. He didn't want to go to New Hampshire. He didn't want to play the New Hampshire game. And so he went to a different state. We won't mention. It's a great state. I won it by a lot. I love that state. But he dumped New Hampshire. And I said to people today, who the hell from New Hampshire would vote for this guy? He changed the whole primary system. He changed the whole system because he took them out of the order. I think it's going to have a big effect. We really want to win New Hampshire. I've done well there, and we really want to win New Hampshire.
Let me go back to the issue, and it's a big issue in the state of Pennsylvania, and you mentioned it. And let me just tell the audience so everybody is fully aware, is that tonight Fox offered a debate opportunity between you and Kamala Harris, and I was not going to be here, but it was going to be Brett and Martha.
This was supposed to be a debate.
Right. So
I would have preferred. I think he's a nice guy, but I would have preferred a debate.
Thanks a lot.
But this is the best we could do, Sean. You're stuck with me.
Let me go play, but there's a big issue in this state is the issue of banning fracking. Now, in that, I thought it was a horrible interview and a missed opportunity. Do you know, for 16 minutes, she spoke for 16 minutes and 29 seconds. In that whole interview, the only interview, you and J.D. Vance have done, this is your 36th interview or press conference between the two of you. And we don't know if she supports the Green New Deal she co-sponsored with Bernie Sanders that would cost $93 trillion. We don't know if she stands by that. We don't know if she supports Medicare for all that would eliminate all private health insurance. We don't know if she would really ban fracking. Now, in the CNN interview, she said, well, I said in 2020 that, I would not ban fracking. CNN had to fact check her and say, no, she never said it. This is what she really said.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes. And I've, again, worked on that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're a better businessman than I am. Isn't energy, fracking, oil the lifeblood of the world's economy?
So, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania cannot even take a chance because that's the real opinion from her. Now, the whole country would go down the tubes if you didn't do the fossil fuel thing. It just would go. And you can do all sorts of other things, but Germany tried it, and it lasted for about 9 months, and they were going to go down the tubes entirely, and somebody else came in, and I hate to say, they're building a coal plant every single week, and they're building nuclear, and they're doing a lot of things. It's never worked. It never will work. But Pennsylvania can't take a chance that answer is true. But she's been there for 20 years. That's what she's been saying for a long time. And she will do that. There's no chance that she's going to allow it. The election will take place. If she won, you're not going to have any fracking in Pennsylvania. You have 500,000 jobs. Think of that. It's your biggest business. And you get a big majority of your income from fracking. And you have somebody that's not going to allow fracking. She's not going to allow it. You can't take the chance. You have no choice. You've got to vote for me. You've got to vote for me. You got to. Even if you don't like me, no, but even if you don't like me, you can sit there and say, I can't stand that guy, but there's no way I'm going to vote for her. No, you have to have fracking. You're the biggest in the country for this. You have two of the biggest sites in the world. It's a massive business for Pennsylvania. And you can't take a chance. She will not allow fracking. She's not going to, and she's got a lot of other problems too. But for your particular, for the Commonwealth, you have no choice
if I may,
but to allow it.
16 minutes and 30 seconds are up. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
The president has spoken for a total of 16 minutes and 30 seconds.
I'll say something else
real quick because we got a break.
If you watch that interview, she had notes. That means she knew the questions, and she had notes. She kept looking down, up. Nobody wants to cover it. I know all about notes. I mean, it's all right if people know that, but she wasn't supposed to have notes. So she's asked a question. She looks down. She keeps on. She had notes. That means she knew that she knew what was happening.
Did her campaign, when they said that they wanted to change the rules that they had agreed to, did they ask for notes? Did they ask for the?
They wanted notes.
They wanted to be seated, and they wanted your mic hot.
And they wanted a desk. They didn't want to do. I said you got to do a stand-up.
After they already agreed to the other.
Yeah, but they wanted a desk from the beginning. You know who else wanted a desk? Sleepy Joe. He wanted a desk.
All right, we got to take a break. More with President Trump. We are in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Get audience questions and much more. Thank you for being with us.
Have the courage to object when they use that term, radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have been the greatest victims of terror. Also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien.
continue in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We're broadcasting in front of a massive crowd. By the way, I want to give we have in our audience, he is the Republican challenger to a 98.6% Joe Biden, Kamala Harris voting supportable. Dave McCool, Colden, Senator Casey, in what is a very important race. Dave, great to have you.
Thank you.
Now, you just heard Kamala Harris, our country's failed border czar, talking about her commitment. You need the courage to never say the word radical Islamic terrorism or illegal alien. President Trump is back with us. What is your reaction to that? Because who attacked us on 9/11 and who's crossing our border?
So she wants to be politically correct, and we can't be politically correct anymore. Look, we have October 7th. People saw it. We have things going on in the world right now with Israel and with the Middle East is blowing up. It's blowing up. We have Ukraine and Russia. That would never happen. That would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. If I were the president, it would have never happened, and everybody knew it. Iran was broke. They didn't have the money for Hamas and for Hezbollah. They didn't have the money for anybody. They wanted to get by. And we would have made a fair deal with them. I was only looking to make a fair deal with them. But, you know, I wanted to say it so much during my term. We went 4 years without any blow-ups. We had no World Trade Center blow-up. We had no radical Islamic terror. We had no radical Islamic terror. Because we were very tough at the borders, and we were very tough with our statements, and we had the whole world was a safe place. That was the question they asked Viktor Orban, who's really considered a very strong. They said he's a strong man. Sometimes you need a strong man. He's a strong man. He's the prime minister of Hungary. And he said, you bring back Trump, everybody. Now, I'm not saying it, but he said it because I'd rather say respect. But he said, everybody was afraid of Trump. You bring him back, you're not going to have any problems. It's all going to go away. The world is blowing up. The world is blowing up. This brings... And Sean, one thing? Yeah. The world is blowing up. And when you look at Ukraine and you look at Russia, you look at all the things that are happening, we are potentially getting ready. I'm telling you, and I've made a lot of predictions, and this is not a prediction because it's so bad. I don't want it to be a prediction. We're heading into World War III territory. And because of the power of weapons, nuclear weapons in particular, but other weapons also, and I know the weapons better than anybody because I'm the one that bought them and, we rebuilt our entire military. We upgraded our entire program. And, the one program I hated to upgrade, hated it, was the nuclear program. And I understand it maybe better than anybody. My uncle was at MIT, a professor, the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, a very smart guy. We have a smart family. It's nice to have a smart family. But I understood nuclear for a long time, the power of nuclear weapons. You need a president that's not going to be taking you into war. We won't have World War III when I'm elected. But with these clowns that you have in there, you're going to end up having World War III. And it's going to be a war like no other.
Let me ask you a more personal question, because you paid a very big price for getting into the political arena. Never mind opportunity costs that you would have had. You've had a successful business. Obviously, you've been a victim of lawfare, if you will, or a weaponized Department of Justice. Although the Supreme Court ruling on immunity, I think, was very clear, although certain judges may not abide by it.
Yeah.
And I listened to you talk about the borders. I listened to you talk about how dangerous the world situation is. I listened to you talk about the economy and fracking and the need for energy, and I hear you. And then I ask myself, okay, why is this different? If 2016 was about the forgotten man and forgotten woman, what is 2024 about?
So it's not that different. It's still about the forgotten man and the forgotten woman. The people are being treated horribly in this country. We're a country that's being laughed at all over the world. And I'll be honest, if Joe Biden would be a great president. I would be happier than being the worst president in the history of our country, because I want to see what's good for the country. And I would have been very happy. I have very nice places I could be. This is not easy. I got shot at. You know, I mean, I got hit. I could have been all over that place. I could have. But you know what? It's very simple. And it starts with make America great again. That's what we have to do.
Everything that we discussed tonight, and you look at your platform, what really infuriates me, and I'm straightforward, I'm a member of the press, but I'm a talk show host, I'm a conservative, and people know where I stand. I think the press, they're all liberal talk show hosts, but they're dishonest about who they are, and they have an agenda. They've never played Kamala in her own words for radical statements or extreme statements, I think dangerous statements. And I just think that if we're talking about the border, all of these 11 million, it was all preventable. I think on the economy, if you had sound economic policy, you handed off 1.4% inflation, we'd be doing better in the economy. We'd be energy dominant by now because we were on a path towards energy dominance. We wouldn't have to, Iran was in check. You had them on the verge of bankruptcy. Russia, you had a relationship with them, and North Korea and the mullahs.
But nobody was tougher with Russia than me. I shut down the biggest pipeline in the world that Russia was building. It was called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of it. And I said, no way. I said to Germany, there's no way we're going to protect you with NATO and spend billions of dollars protecting Europe, and you guys are going to be buying oil from the person and the group that we're protecting you from. And I shut it down. It was 100% shut down. And then this pathetic person comes in, and he immediately approves it. But he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, our pipeline. And the head of that union, by the way, the pipe fitters union, the pipeline union, the head of that union nominated and was a big deal in the Biden campaign, and he endorsed him. And those people, 48,000 people lost their jobs. It was all approved. I got it approved. Obama rejected it. I approved it. It was starting. They spent billions of dollars. It was also, and they rejected it. It would have been fantastic for us, including the 48,000 jobs. And what he did is he let Russia build the pipeline that I had stopped. It was totally stopped. Going to Germany and other countries. Think of it. We protect them from Russia, and yet they pay Russia billions of dollars. Does it make sense? So I was the toughest on Russia. Putin would even say, you know, if you're not the toughest guy, you're killing us. I'd hate to see you if you were really tough. This was the biggest job they've ever had, and I stopped it. And you know what? Russia would have been fine. China would have been fine. China was fine. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs under me. Under no other president, and I mean right from the beginning, did they pay 10 cents.
You know, we're going to get to audience questions. I do have a question as we go to break. And I think this should be a question asked in every presidential election, and I'll ask the people here in Harrisburg, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Okay. When we come back, more former President Trump. We're in Harrisburg, PA, as we continue.
No sé, no.